Okay, so you guys want to know the top 10 reasons not to move to Houston, Texas? Well, I got them right here in this video, so stay tuned. Hey you guys, welcome to the Living in Houston channel. And if you're new here, this channel is all about what it's like to eat, sleep, play, and live in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States of America. So I'm here to help you find some of the best areas or neighborhoods that's going to fit your lifestyle. And I would hate for you to make the wrong decision and move to the wrong area just because you didn't have all the information about that particular area or community. So we get hundreds of people. They reach out to myself and my team, and really love when you guys reach out and talk to us about the Houston market and real estate. So we're here to help you so you can have the information. We don't want you to make the wrong decision. So you can call us, you can text us, you can email us if you have any questions. All our information is below this link. So to get notifications of when I post new videos about the best areas to eat, sleep, play, live in Houston, Texas, make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button, and you're going to get notifications of when I post videos, so you'll have all the information you need to find a great community that fits your lifestyle. So let's get into some of the top 10 reasons you may not want to move to Houston, Texas. It may not be a good fit for your lifestyle. So one of the things about Houston, it's like I mentioned before, it is really massive from end to end. It may take you up to 3 hours. I mean, it's just a big city. We are one of the fastest growing cities in America. I believe we're at number 3 or 4 at this time. And we don't have the best public transportation system. So you will need a car, or it will be great if you have a car. When you come to the city or when you move to the city, try to get a car because it is really hard sometimes to get around if you do not have a car. So one of the things that some of the people who reach out to me who are from cities like maybe like New York or Chicago, San Francisco, they're used to certain public transportation systems to get them to and from work, trains and subways and things like that. And we just don't have that here. So we do have a bus system, and we do have a little metro that goes between like the Galleria area, and it's one that goes in like the medical center area, but it's really limited. It just goes from one part of downtown to maybe the medical center, one straight shot, and then it kind of stops there. And then our buses do go throughout the city, but there's a lot of suburbs they do not go out to. So you will not be able to get to those suburbs without a vehicle. Also, our public transportation system does not run 24 hours a day, like in some major cities like New York, or like if you're coming from London somewhere where they may have 24-hour either buses or like trains. We don't have that here. So they do have a cutoff time. I believe some of them stop around 11, 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, depending on what side of town they're on. So it may make it challenging for you to get around a city if you do not have your own car. So one of the things just to keep in mind is you definitely want a car or move closer to work where you can walk or bike or take like a local cab or Uber service, because it is a very big city, like I mentioned before. So the number 2 reason why you may not want to move to Houston, Texas, this does bother some people when I talk to them on the phone or when they come to visit, but we don't have any zoning laws like in our inner city part. So sometimes you can have like your home and next to it will be like a tall building or an office building or a restaurant or a hospital, or it's just a commercial building next to a residential building, a warehouse next to a residential building, a house. So it's like we don't have these, we have like these no zoning laws, and that sometimes bothers certain people because they don't like that we don't have that division there, and then that can cause them not to like either certain areas of town or neighborhoods and things like that. And I never thought it was a big deal, but there are some people it's really a big deal. So like I mentioned before, making sure you don't move to the wrong area. You know, we want to help you find something that fits your lifestyle. You got to tell us these things, or if it's something that bothers you, then it may be one of the things you don't like about Houston, Texas, because it may bother some people that we don't have those zoning laws. Number 3 reason why you may not want to move to Houston, Texas. So, and there's been some articles written on this and out, as well as people have actually said this. And like I said, this is something I didn't really think much about growing up in Houston, Texas. We eat a lot of barbecue. We love our barbecue. We love our brisket. We love our roast beef. We love our, like beef ribs, and then they have pork ribs, chicken. And I always say we're not the most vegan friendly place because everywhere you go, there's meat and skewers of meat, and everyone just loves their barbecue and meat, so it's hard to get away from. So we have tons and tons of barbecue spots and just a lot of places with a lot of meat and a lot of not as many vegan or healthy options. So that might be something. Um, we do have vegan and healthy options, just not as much. And so that might be something that you may not like as far as moving here or living here. And you can smell it as you walk up and down the street in some areas. It's very overpowering barbecue smell. And that's how they lure you into the restaurant. But some people don't like that about Texas, how much meat we do slaughter here and eat here, consume here. So number 4 reason you may not want to move to Houston, Texas. I don't know. This might be a reason you don't want to move to Houston, Texas. But I did a recent study, and as far as dating quality here in Houston, Texas, they said there are 3 women to every man. So those are your odds there. It sounds pretty low to me. So it sounds like it's still a good chance you'll meet a good partner here in Houston, Texas, if you're single. But I have read that and I said, let me just share it. I mean, some cities have like 5 women to every man. Some cities have, 7 women to every guy. So I was like, that's a good statistic you will probably want to know when relocating, and especially if you're single. That would be something I would want to know. So the number 6 reason why you may not want to move to Houston, Texas. We have high property taxes, some of the highest in the country, and we also have very high sales tax. So sometimes when people come here, they're very shocked that maybe they'll find a $250,000 house or even a $1 million house. And where they're coming from, they may find like more square footage or a better neighborhood or newer home. And they're like, wow, this is such a great deal. And then they get hit with those property taxes or those HOAs. And they're like, whoa, I mean, I didn't expect the HOAs and property taxes to be this much. And depending on what side of town you live on, if you live closer to the Gulf, you have to have wind and hail insurance, and that could be a little more as well. So you just got to keep certain things, some of that stuff in mind, that we may have lower real estate with, like you get more bang for your buck, but you're going to pay higher sales tax and higher property tax. But one of the reasons is we don't have any state income tax. So just keep that in mind. There's no state income tax. There's only federal taxes that you have to pay. Okay, so just keep that in mind because it does sticker shock some people. All right, so the number 7 reason why you may not want to move to Houston, Texas. So Houston, we have mosquitoes. We have a mosquito issue. It's been going on since I was born. I mean, I grew up mosquitoes biting me all the time. So you want to always keep some off or some mosquito repellent with you, because during the night, during the evening is when they come out and they love to, suck on your blood. We do have some of the mosquitoes. The news would normally let you know, but they'll carry like viruses, so they'll let you know that. And then, of course, wear proper repellent or clothing when you're out sitting, even on your patio, because they will bite you up pretty fast. But we do have trucks that go around the city and neighborhoods and spray for the mosquito to reduce the mosquito population in the community. So it does help a lot more today than when I was growing up. But they're still there. And like I said, some of them, sometimes they carry viruses and people do get sick. Another thing we have in some of our areas of town, we have like wild hogs. And you got to be careful with them because some of them will attack you. We also have snakes, and they're not in every single. I don't see it like, how do I say it? More rural areas, you might get them more in your. Sometimes they get inside your garage or in your kitchen. But I don't have too many people calling me saying, hey, there's a snake issue, or they're in my backyard all day, every day. It's not like that, but they are there. And you just want to be aware that there are snakes. We also have, and this is not as, we don't have as many as we had when I was growing up because they spray a lot in the city. But this is funny because I told a friend from Florida about this, and she swore to God I had to be making this up. We have flying roaches, and they're about this big. They're like these tree roaches. And like about, I'm trying to give you an example. Maybe like that big, like long wise, like they're like, long. And so anyway, they're the bigger ones, and you do see some little ones, but you see the bigger ones, and they're out in the trees. So sometimes if you go to certain neighborhoods and it has a lot of trees, because there's some neighborhoods it's real open. And I'll show you some of those in the other videos. You'll see some of the neighborhoods, and you'll see like there may be one tree in the front yard in the house, right? Those are like the newer developments. But I'm talking about like the older established development where there's like trees lining up the street. Sometimes when you're walking your dog late at night, or you're just jogging late at night, or just walk, not, it doesn't have to be late at night. It can be like whatever sunset happens, right? Like that sunset, like that 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night time frame. So then they'll come out, and you see them coming out of the sewage area. And of course, the ones coming out of sewage, they're not going to attack you. They're normally just walking or running down the street. You can avoid them. The ones that can fly are in the trees. And sometimes they'll fly, not trying to hurt you. They're just flying down just to get wherever they're going. And they sometimes hit you or run into you. And of course, as women, we scream. And you can hear us all the way down the neighborhood. Or we're running down the neighborhood. That's probably what it is. So I told her there's flying roaches. And she said there's no such thing as a flying roach. I said, oh, okay. And she found out there were when she moved to Texas. So she couldn't believe it. She said she's never heard of a flying roach in her life. I said, yes, there's some that fly. So just keep in mind, there's some flying roaches. All right, the number 8 reason why you may not want to move to Houston, Texas is it's hot as hell. I know, it's hot. I know you've heard about that heat. Our hottest month in Houston is August. Our coolest month in Houston is January. We don't stay cold very long, and we do not snow. If we get snow, it is usually 10 years, and it's maybe a little snow that hits the ground, or you may get like a little inch or something, but it rarely snows. And if it gets cold, it's just for a few days or weeks. It's really not, doesn't get below like 50 or 40 that often, like in some of the other cities, major cities. So it's hot here all year round, and the humidity gets to people who are not used to it. It can be really hard to go outside during the day hours. As far as just being outside all day, going jogging during the day could be difficult on some people. So a lot of times we'll wait to either early in the morning or later in the evening, and you see more families outside, you see more kids outside. But it's a really hot city. So just keep that in mind when you're moving here, especially if you don't like heat, that Houston is very hot. It's hotter even, I heard, than Dallas and Austin. It's just really humid. So if you don't like heat or 100-degree weather, it may not be the best city for you to move in. Another thing is in Houston is we started to get tornadoes. We don't really have a lot of tornadoes. They're rare occurrence. They're not like you're gonna see them even every year or even every few years, but every so often one will touch down. Of course, there's the tornado warnings. They don't last hardly at all. But they do come in and either knock over a tree, throw some stuff around, toss a few cars, and maybe damage some homes, like some wind and hail damage to your home and your roof. But we don't have them like in other cities, maybe like Oklahoma or Kansas. They're not, usually we don't have any really deadly ones. But one of the things that we do notice about our weather is it is changing, and we're getting a little more tornadoes actually touching down instead of previously when I was growing up here, we get more like tornado warnings. Oh, there's a tornado warning, but it never touched down. And now it seems like every so often they are touching down. So that's something I want you to know about our weather here, as well as many areas during our flood season. There's a lot of areas that flood in our city. Of course, there's a lot that do not flood at all, but there's some that do, and they've been that way since I was little. It could be like a draining issue with the city or whatever, but they've been that way. And so, just keep that in mind when you're relocating either to the city or throughout the city, knowing which areas flood. The flood areas, people still live there because the floods are not so bad that they can't live in their homes. But just keep in mind that the street might fill up with water and you may not be able to get to your home for like a couple of hours. Then it dies, it rescinds, and then you can get home. But just keep that in mind that that does happen in the city every so often. So you do definitely want to know about that and where it floods and if your home is in a floodplain or not. So number nine reason why you may not want to move to Houston, Texas. So let's say you're from a city like Miami or California where there's beaches and ocean views everywhere. Well, we don't have no beaches and ocean views nowhere. So you may not like Houston, Texas for that reason. We do have a lot of beautiful lakes and man-made lakes, and we do have the beach called Galveston, which is a little over, I believe, an hour. Depending on where you're coming from, it could be over an hour to 2 hours away, and that just depends on what side of Houston you're coming from, and also that traffic, that I talked about earlier. So some people when they call, they definitely are coming from an area where they're used to having a lot of like lakes and water in their scenery of the kind of neighborhoods they want to live in. And then there's a lot of neighborhoods they have no water, no lakes, anything like that, and some people do not like that because they like to maybe go out, like I said, take their dogs for walks or go to the water and work out, kind of like work out on the beach or work out, or like sometimes their lifestyles like they just love to just kind of just be in near water for that tranquil experience. So then they'll ask me about stuff like that, and I'm like, no, we don't have it. We do have some man-made lakes, but they're not in every single community or neighborhood, and they're definitely not in the inner city. So you got to definitely let us know, like I said, the lifestyle you live, so you don't make the wrong decision and move to an area where it doesn't have some of the features you want. But if you are definitely set on like that beach lifestyle, we don't have it here in Houston at all. We do, like I said, have Galveston, but people don't really view it as like that kind of like a destination beach type of vacation spot, but it is there. So that might be an alternative, but like I said, it's a drive unless you get a home closer to that area. But if you're working in Houston in the city, or you need to live in Houston in the city, then that's not a feature or amenity you're going to have waking up to every day. And I know some of the people have been reaching out to me that's relocating. That was really important to them. So definitely make sure you convey what's really important to you, like a must have. Like you're not going to live without this because you're used to it. You're used to going surfing, you're used to going boating, you're used to going fishing. Now there are fishing spots. There's like Lake Conroe, I think it's Lake Livingston, of course Galveston. Like I said, there's places to go and fish and boat. It's just not in the inner city part, and it's a good distance away. So then that's why I need to know like exactly what you are looking for, so I'll be able to tell you these things before you relocate to Houston, Texas.